the report, so I'm on there now. So, well, guys, and like I said, on behalf of Rob and myself, would like to formally welcome you. I'm quite excited today to see you all on, and I've got two special guests I've invited who we're going to, speak it towards the end. But one of our guests has got pre-engagements straight after this, so he's asked could he kindly just come on and just give himself a quick intro to the group, and he can go away and do that, and then of course I'll leave the best to last. So without further ado, I'd just like you to introduce you to Joby. I've known Joby for a number of years now, and we have become very good friends. There's not a lot I could really say about Joby, but let's just say sometimes in life you're in a position where you maybe, you've got that opportunity to have sort of the pick of the crop, whether it's, if you've got unlimited funds to go and pick a car, what car you're going to pick. Of course, you're going to pick the best car that's suited for you. I was a little bit in that position where I had a little bit of a pick of the crop, so to speak, for who I would like to be my mentor in the crypto space, and I chose Joby. That's all I can say, really, Joby. I think that says it all. If you could just kindly unmute yourself, please, introduce yourself to the group, and bear in mind we are recording for our group. So I'll just hand it over to you, Joby.
No worries. Thank you so much, Barry. It's a pleasure to be on here for your major webinar that you're putting on tonight, and it's it's a pleasure working with you every single day. We have a laugh, and the knowledge you're bringing and your learning is just going second to none now, and you really are one of the best leaders in the whole of the UK. So I'm very honoured to be here as well. So thank you for having me. For myself, it's a little bit of a background echo now. I just want to mute Angela out, Barry.
Yeah. Done. Sorry, Joby.
That's all right. No worries. I could just. I thought it was myself at first, but
yeah, I thought you had the match on already.
Yeah, but so just to give you a bit of an introduction to myself, guys, I've been involved with cryptocurrency for coming up to about 7 years now. I started in late 2012, and it really has changed my life. I used to be a scaffolder working on a building site, and one day someone dropped a scaffold fitting from 70 foot, landed on my head. But if I hadn't have had my accident, I wouldn't have found Bitcoin. But the reason I tell you this as well is that if I can do this, you can do this too. I was a high school dropout, but now all I do is travel around the world educating people on Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining. So if my teachers could have seen me now, they'd probably have a heart attack. But when I found Bitcoin, it captivated me and it grabbed my attention, and it was just something I knew I had to share with people, because this is going to change the way we use money forever. And it's basically like being back at the start of the internet. If we had that opportunity again right now, what would you do? And I always ask that question to my people, and that is what Bitcoin offers. That is what Bitcoin brings to the table. It is the next disruption the world is going to see, and it really is something that you should take important. And with Barry's knowledge that he's gaining, and Irene, who you're going to listen to later, is one of the top ladies in all of Bitcoin, you guys are in for a real treat. And I wish I could stay longer, but I do have something that I can't get out of tonight. And there's a little saying that says, to dare is to do. And that is a real true saying that you should take in hands here. Just really grab this with both hands, guys. Do whatever you can to get in, and just take the education of this very, very seriously, because this, as I said, this is going to change money. And, we can either learn about it now, or we can be told about it and we have to use it in 3 or 5 years' time. So it's down to you. Do your own education, do your own due diligence, but don't miss Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is not waiting for us. When I got on board, it was $50 a coin, roughly, approximately, and now it's $5,800 per coin, and it's not even started yet. So Barry will go through and give you a great presentation now and explain exactly how Bitcoin works. And just for me, just to say, Barry, as well, thank you for putting this on. It's a pleasure, and I'm sure people are going to get a lot of value from your knowledge as well.
Yeah, Joby, I really appreciate the time there. Get yourself away, enjoy the football.
No worries, absolutely.
Good luck.
See you soon, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Joby. Okay, guys, so what I'm just going to quickly do now is I'm just going to share my screen with you all. So, can everybody see that? Yeah, okay. So I'll just start it from the beginning, and like I say, there's people that's the recording will be going out to who's still a little bit unsure and a little bit of skepticism and unaware of Bitcoin. So with that in mind, we'll get a start. And so let's just talk about where it all began. And it all began back in 2008, where there was a white paper was produced. And it was called a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And the white paper was actually created by a name called Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, to this day, Satoshi Nakamoto still remains anonymous, and nobody knows whether it's a male, a female, or actually a group of people. And once you start to understand Bitcoin in more detail, you'll probably understand why Satoshi Nakamoto still remains anonymous to this day. And when the creation of Bitcoin came out in 2009, a lot of people were saying this bit of white paper, could be the biggest thing since the internet, as Joby's just mentioned. It could be, a disruption what information the internet did for information, and it was very. A lot of people that was talking and saying that was a lot of technical people, and then released was an open source software. Now, for me, Bitcoin can be very techy or it can be very simple. I prefer simple. If anybody wants to get technical, I know just the right people to point in your direction if you want to have a conversation with them. But for me, I just like to keep it really, really simple. So Bitcoin became the first cryptocurrency in the world. Yes, it is real money. It's just like the Great British Pound or the Euro, etc. But it's just more. It's more than money. So what we're going to do is just take a look at the slides here, and we've just got a few bullet points, and I'll just go through them in turn. So what is Bitcoin? Just more than money? Yes, it's a global digital transaction system which is available to everybody. In other words, basically what it is, it's a 3-in-1 system really. What you've got here is you've got cash, like your banks. You've got a payment system, which is just like PayPal. But also you've got the technology. And the technology is what brings Bitcoin into circulation. So we've got all 3 in one. So how cool is that? We don't have that to the bank. So just bear that one in mind. We've got a 3-in-1 done for you, more or less, system. It's decentralized and it's a peer-to-peer network. What does that mean then? So decentralized means it is not owned by any person, any banking system, any government. It's owned by the people who are in control of Bitcoin. And it's a peer-to-peer network, which means that just you and I or anybody across the world can send a transaction or send money directly to that person instantaneously. Regardless, you don't need any credit checks, any political agendas or anything like that. So it's totally decentralized. And, it's the first ever alternative to establishment to the bank system, which is great. As I mentioned just before, it's a 3-in-1 done for you system. There's a limited supply of Bitcoin, which a lot of people don't know. Now, the limit supply is, as it's saying there, is 21 million. Now, 21 million Bitcoins is great because that means that we can actually keep an eye on the supply. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about that in a moment. Because, a bit like gold, unlike gold, for example, let's say gold, we all know has got a limited supply, but we don't know what that limit is. With Bitcoin, we actually know what the limit is. So we can actually track it and we can, we can really calculate exactly where we're possibly going with the Bitcoin. And this is why the focus and the financial institute, hedge funds and governments, combined with the most influential people, are actually involved and getting involved with Bitcoin. And it is the best asset in the past 10 years. Now, what I want you to do is just take you over to the right-hand side. I just want to have a look at the graph. Can you all see the graph there? Might look a little bit complicated, but I'm just going to move myself out the road there so I can see it properly. And the graph here, it's shown two times 10x's. And these 2x's became about just after each halving. And I'm going to just briefly touch on what the halving is in a moment. But if you just have a look at the first 10x, which is the one to your left as you're looking at it. Now, this was from 2013 to 14. And what this means is the value of Bitcoin rose by 10 times its value. So in 2013, it was $800, and it shot up to $1,200 in the matter of that in that year. So that means it rose 10 times itself. Now, if you have a look a bit further on, now I know this might get a little bit complicated for you, but it'll soon come more clearer in a bit. If you have a look at the other one with the big spike, now this is when the crazy part of Bitcoin came about back in the 2007-18, where it actually spiked from $800, shot up, and it actually reached the heights up to $18,000. In fact, I do believe it went to $21,000, but we're looking at the 10 times X at the time there. So what's going to happen at the next halving, which we're going to talk about in a minute? Well, who knows, but it's really exciting to be part of. So, that's where possibly we're thinking Bitcoin could be going in the next 10 years. So just moving on to the next slide. So why do we need to pay attention to Bitcoin? Well, of course, there was, according to a study by Cambridge University, there are approximately 2.9 to 5.8 million active Bitcoin users in the world. Now, this study was actually taken out last year sometime or over a year ago, so them figures may have increased. And in the year of 2018, there was actually 3.2 trillion Bitcoin transactions. What that means is people in control of Bitcoin, like yourself and me, we were making transactions from one person to another, or we were buying something or receiving something, and there was 3 trillion transactions in the year 2018. And can you be part of an early adapter? Can you be part of a huge growth potential? Well, absolutely, of course we can. And, let's have a look at it in this way, why we can. And for me, I think getting involved in Bitcoin now is the perfect time. And let's have a look at why. Now, put it this way, the world population is approximately 8 billion people across the whole of the globe. Now, there was a study by Forbes which was released, and the study was over 1.7 billion people actually don't have access to banks. That's quite a huge percentage of the global industry do not have access to the banks. As we mentioned before, Bitcoin goes on demand and supply. And with there only being 21 million Bitcoins in circulation, believe it or not, even though Bitcoin has been in circulation now for 10 years, we're actually, there's 17.5, there might be just slightly over. I'm sure Irene will correct me at the end, but round about 17.5 million Bitcoins are in circulation at this moment in time. And people say, well, if there's only 21 to be in circulation, it's not going to take very much longer before the whole amount of Bitcoin comes into circulation. Well, actually, that is not true, because the whole amount of Bitcoin circulation, just somebody on mute there, I'm just going to mute somebody to hear some disruptions there. Do apologize for that. So the whole amount of 21 million Bitcoins will be fully in circulation in 2040. And there's a good reason for that. Now, this is because every 4 years, Bitcoin becomes more scarce. And what that means is when Bitcoin first came into circulation back in 2009, every 10 minutes, 50 Bitcoins was released into circulation. So every 10 minutes, 50 new Bitcoins was released into circulation. And they went on to what's called the blockchain. Now, I don't want to start going into the blockchain just yet. That will be for another session. But when they go into the blockchain, so the next 4 years, what happened was rather than 50 Bitcoin go every 10 minutes, it got halved to 25. So you can imagine after that, the Bitcoins got less and less, so they got scarce. 4 years after that, it went to 12.5. And that's currently what we're on at the moment. Now, I'm going to show you something in a moment of where the predicted price could possibly be. So let's do a quick workout with what we've just mentioned there. So with less than 1%, believe it or not, there's less than 1% of people that's actually involved in the Bitcoin. So with that said, what's going to actually happen when there's 2% involved? What's going to happen when there's 3% involved? Imagine when 10% involved, people are going to be involved in Bitcoin, and it's going to happen. So imagine 10% people in Bitcoin. The next halving, which is in roundabout May next year, where there's only going to be 6.5 or roundabout Bitcoins in circulation, it's going to be even more scarce. So what's going to happen with the price of Bitcoin? There's going to be more and more people using it. So it's going to be in demand, but the supply is going to be less. So the price is just going to rise up and up and up. So that's why we are not too late to get involved. And this is why I think we're in a perfect position to get involved with Bitcoin now. Does that all make sense to people? I'm a bit curious, guys. I do apologise for time watching because I need to make time for I we need to come on. So with that said, then, you know, let's have a look at some of the what some of the influential people are saying about Bitcoin. And you know, these people are not just names that's just been plucked out of thin air or I've pulled off the internet. Go away, do your own research, do your own due diligence on these people, right? Because these people are influential people talking about Bitcoin. Firstly, we'll have a look at Tim Draper, who is a venture capitalist, arguably one of the best venture capitalists in the world. Tim Draper was an early investor in Yahoo, Hotmail, Skype, Uber. So, you know, he does know a little bit about early investment and being early adapters. And Tim Draper's actually predicting by the year 2022, Bitcoin would reach the price of 250K. Who are we to argue with them? Wences Caceres, the board of director of PayPal. Now, you would think Wences Caceres would have a little bit of knowledge of finance. Of course he would. He's the director of PayPal. And, you know, he's a big advocate of Bitcoin. And, you know, Wences is saying that one Bitcoin is going to be worth 1 million. Wow. You know, of course, these things are not guaranteed, but these are the influential people that's talking about it. Last one, I'll just give a quick mention to Jack Dorsey, who's the co-founder of Twitter, but also Jack Dorsey is the founder of Square. For those people that don't know what Square is, it's, you know, it's a similar payment type to PayPal. So of course he's got a huge financial background as well. And Jack is actually saying, you know, the world ultimately will have one single currency. The internet will have one single currency. In his personal belief, that is going to be Bitcoin. Yeah, and you know, go away, have a look at these people, see what they're saying, follow these people, influential people. Of course, there's more influential people that's talking about it. A lot more people like Richard Branson, Bill Gates, other, you know, entrepreneurs who's actually talking about Bitcoin. So what I want to do is just quickly go back to the last slide then, and just go back to, is it too late to get involved? As I said before, never too late to get involved. And I just want to quickly recap why we need to take care of Bitcoin. Well, we've just mentioned there before, the most influential people investing and talking about Bitcoin. We've just looked at 3 of them there. Bitcoin, it's debt-free. Yeah, it's an infinite supply. We've talked about there's only 21 million Bitcoins that's going to be in supply. And, you know, it's designed to be inflation-proof, which is great. And it's unhackable. And this is because of the blockchain, which is going to be another webinar in itself there. Now, it is becoming the biggest financial revolution we may ever see. You know, just listen to the influential people. Follow the smart people. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Joby. You know, we're just following these influential people. Watch what they're doing. Listen to what they're saying. Yes? And, you know, it is a peer-to-peer, you and I, bank system with no intermediaries, so we don't need permission from banks to send money. Of course, we're going to be there's a small transaction fee if we are transferring Bitcoin, but it's nothing in the region of what we would do if we were sending it through bank transfer to our bank. And of course, Bitcoin can increase by 0.1 Bitcoin to 350,000 Bitcoin, and we're just getting started. We're in its infancy now. Bitcoin is coming scarce every 10 minutes. And just to finish off, you know, we're at an early stage. People say, well, it is too late because it's been going for 10 years. Just remember, 21 Bitcoin in circulation. 2140 is when all 21 Bitcoins will be fully mined. So we are at a really early stage. Think back to when the internet first come about. Then we had the emails, you know, and then things start moving more digitally. Then we went on to mobile phones. What was the first mobile phones that was ever produced? The Nokia phone. We're all guilty of having a Nokia phone. Of course, we were sitting playing Snakes and Nintendo and things like that. Now what we're doing, we're on the Nokias. We're on Apples. So that's how the technology. With Bitcoin, I would say we're at the Nokia stage of the Bitcoin. So with that said, guys, and like I said, I'm a little bit curious of time. I'm just going to stop it there, and hopefully what we'll do is, you know, the next webinar that we do, we'll just show you exactly how you can become involved in Bitcoin, because there's a number of different ways how we can become involved in Bitcoin, and you know we're here to support you and help you get involved with that. So I hope you're getting a little bit of value with that. What I want to do, just finish off for the last 10 minutes or so, is I just want to hand you over to our next guest speaker. Joby already mentioned it. It's Irene. Now, Irene, to me, is such an inspirational person. She's been a key figure in, you know, inspiring, and particularly not even me, but my wife as well. And, you know, we've become really, really good friends. You know, we've spent days with Irene doing training. What Irene doesn't know really about Bitcoin, I suppose, is it's not worth knowing. So with that said, Irene, if you just please unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the group, and just, you know, give us your thoughts on Bitcoin, why you got involved in the Bitcoin, and why you're so passionate about it, and where do you see it in the future?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for a beautiful presentation. You really break it down and make it very understandable. And I think that's really the key to what we're doing. When I first got involved in cryptocurrency about 4.5 years ago, I was like anyone else, I would say. I didn't understand anything, but I was doing exactly what we're doing now, you know, doing consistent work. But what I found the most interesting is that economy had never really interested me before. And I've been doing a lot of different things in life. I'm actually an author and have been doing, been traveling in many places, but I never had a thought that I would ever be working with economy. And I think it's important to bring up to the surface, because a lot of people out there, they have the same feeling. They would probably, like if I look back 5 years ago, I would have bought any comment that a banker would tell me. That's how little I knew about economy. And I think it's such a good start to really start to learn about the financial system, etc. And just a couple of months ago, I was actually in the south of England, and what I was doing then was I was educating a bank director. And I think that says a lot about this industry, where we are, where we're headed, because every single one of you who are stepping up right now and starting to learn, you are in the forefront of the future technology. And what I usually tell people is always, or is also that, you know, it's happening right now in front of your eyes. So do yourself a favor and at least learn what this is all about. When people do that, they eventually also get very excited because they understand the greatness of what's actually going on. So I guess that's my start, and I started working with it pretty immediately. It was just a very good shift for me at the time. I was tired of what I was doing, and it was just, you know, nice to go into a completely new field, meet completely new types of people. And I do believe, though, that Bitcoin is for everyone. Now, of course, not everyone, but what I mean with that is that it's for financial people. It is for students. It is for, I almost said kids, but I actually have quite a few friends who have their kids who are involved in crypto since years back as well. So what I love about Bitcoin is also that it doesn't discriminate. So it's really open to men, women, to gay, it doesn't care what race or color you are. It's really about starting to understand that this is the future technology, and it is being right now implemented everywhere. And a good example that I use has made it very clear for me is that if we look at internet, where we have first we had the email, and everyone was like, wow, that's amazing, we can send information so easily. And look at today, 25 years later, today we can look at each other. We're sitting in different countries and we're communicating live. So this is just applications that has been built on top of the internet. Now, Bitcoin and blockchain also, which is the underlying technology that Barry is mentioning, that is Internet 2.0. And Bitcoin is the first layer. And when people hear that, they do have a tendency to, interesting. I think I might want to learn a little bit more about this. So I think it's we have a phenomenal future in front of us, and especially when you have this information, when you have someone like Barry who can invite you to a webinar like this and just keep teaching, it's phenomenal. We are a great community where we really want to, you know, spread the word globally. We're working in many countries, so I cannot say anything else than I'm just completely blessed to be working with you guys. Yeah.
Thanks, Irene. It's you know, the great inspiration there. You know, you've covered a lot. I hope people get some value from that. And because when Rob and I are going to be running our next webinar, we're going to be, you know, touching again and just getting people mindset for Bitcoin, what it's about, how powerful it is. You know, what it's real cash. It's as simple as that. It's here to stay. Like it or lump it, it ain't going away. The only way Bitcoin will ever disappear is if the internet disappears, and that ain't going to happen. You know, and we talked about why it's unhackable. We'll get into the nitty-gritties in future webinars where we may get Max on and you know, talk about the technical side of it and just blow everybody's head away. But you know, I think but it's great for people to hear that, and it's great for our group to hear different people's aspects across the globe as well. I do appreciate your time. Real pleasure you're coming on, and I hope people did get a little bit value from that.
Thank you so much, Barry. It's an amazing webinar. And I also just want to touch on that. Every single one of us who are involved, we've been listening to those presentations over and over and over. So you're more than welcome to join in on the next one, to go for round 2, and you will learn more, that's for sure. So thank you so much for today or tonight's presentation.
Thank you. It will get more slicker, it'll get more clearer, and it's just breaking it down for for people to fully understand it. Now, what we are going to be coaching people with, and why we want to work with people, is the next stages, where we want to introduce people how they can get started. There'll be people on the webinar, there'll be people watching the replay of this webinar, be wondering, okay, you've given me a little bit of an insight of Bitcoin, but how do I really get started? And that's where it gets really exciting, and that's where we come to the forefront, and we educate people on how they get started, because there's a number of different ways how people can get started, and there's some really easy, simple ways which I like, and there's some really techie ways which you need years and years and years of experience. But once more, I really thank you very, very much. It's been a pleasure having you on the webinar. Hopefully we'll see you on our next one, and we'll get a few more of the guys on, and get a few more people coming on and giving their aspect and their thoughts on Bitcoin. So thank you.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys. So if anybody has got any questions, we have got about 2 minutes left. If you can just drop them in the chat. If not, go away, talk to your people. Do your own research. Like I said before, don't listen to me, don't listen to Irene, don't listen to Joby, don't listen to Rob, Patrick, everybody on the call. Go out and follow the smart people. Your Tim Drapers, your Richard Bransons. These are the guys who are actually, making the noise, and we need to follow these people. So yeah, thanks, Patrick. I really appreciate you coming on, mate. It means a lot. So without further ado, if nobody's got any further questions, I appreciate your time, and we'll cut it there, and please look out. We'll plan possibly do another webinar next week where, like I said, we'll take people to the next stage of where they're getting involved. Okay? So if everybody just wants to unmute themselves, say bye-bye to everyone, and then we'll hang up.
Thanks very much, Barry. That was really great.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys. So we'll end the meeting now. See you all soon.
All right. Cheers, Barry.
Cheers, Rob. Speak soon.
Indeed. All right, mate.
Bye-bye.